Two babies, are you there? All right, we started. Fuck yeah. And today, welcome to. Perfect. Welcome to defining design options. Yay. Quick recap before we're working with the chapter that is around surrounding requirements analysis and design definition. So everything. Yeah. Truthfully, the design that we're doing right now seems to be just to explain our work and why it's relevant and how it's relevant, right? Because like we're specifying the model we're going to use in this chapter. We're verifying that the requirements are actually like that are requirements that we're, we're we're verifying that the model is useful and the requirements are useful. We're validating their usefulness and their connection. We're defining the design options, which is we're defining the requirements architecture, which is what we did last chapter. And right now we're defining the design options, like what are the options for our design. So what's the purpose? The purpose of define design options is to define the solution approach, identify opportunities to improve the business, allocate requirements. This now is basically less of how we're approaching and what we're approaching. Components and represent design options and achieve the desired feature state. Yay! In the description, when designing a solution, there may be more than one design options identified. Oh my God, like more than one thing that we need to look at in business analysis? Never. Each design option represents a way to satisfy a set of requirements. Design options exist at a lower level than the change strategy. Huh. Why a lower level than the change strategy? And are tactical rather than strategic. Because our options are very like simple, right? Strategic, something that's tactical or more tool oriented, whilst something more strategic is action oriented. Maybe that's something to think about, right? As a solution is developed, tactical trade-offs may need to be made among the design alternatives. Makes sense the way I explained it. I have no idea if you guys are understanding or not. Business analysts must assess the effect these trade-offs will have on the delivery of the value stakeholders when the trade-offs happen, initiatives of progress and requirements evolve, design options evolve. Okay, amazing. So what are the inputs? The change strategy that we've been making, that we've been working on and iterating upon as we actually move forward. The requirements, which are the validated and the prioritized requirements, which he literally did like 7.2 and 7.3, right? Only validated requirements are considered in the design options. Why? Because those are the ones that we agreed, yes, we move forward with it. And the requirements architecture, which we did in 7.5. So here we go. We have the diagram here, which basically means requirements validated and prioritized. Ooh, went back all the way to chapter 5. If you don't remember, chapter 5 is tracing the requirements and kind of creating that map on how we're making those decisions. Maintaining the requirements as an understanding how we're gonna make sure these requirements are fitting or not, and what we're going to be checking in order to see if they actually are working in that progress or not. We're prioritizing them, and finally we're assessing them as assessing their changes. So it's 5.3 and 7.3. 7.3 is literally validating the requirements. I told you guys. And we need the change strategy from 7.4, which is the strategy of change that comes after analysis of the current state, defining the future state, and assessing the risks that we're going to be taking in our process. And requirements architecture, which is in 7.4, which we talked about yesterday, basically, or in the previous basically chapter. And the output we get after defined design options is integrated, we get the design options period, and we use that to define the change strategy and to analyze potential value and recommend solutions. Amazing. What are the elements to define? Well, the elements, I think 1, 2, 3, with 4 or 5 maybe should be maximum 4 elements here. Because we have to basically define solution approaches, which is basically creating a solution or buying a solution or a combination of both. Creating a solution, we're talking here maybe like software, logistical, like shit like this that actually help, whatever could actually support the movement. Remember, what we're doing right now is making sure we eliminate all the crap that exists between us right now and succeeding into the future. So the idea is like if there is a solution that exists, why the fuck would we need to create one from scratch and spend time and money and all that stuff, right? So we either have to create a solution, which is basically assembled, constructed, or developed by experts in direct response to a set of requirements. The requirements are design options that are enough to detail, like it could be a software that we use, it could be a logistical company that already does something specific to our need, it could be a banking, financial, I don't know, asset that we could use that we could actually make money out of, or we can actually like lease or something. I have no idea. Or we buy a solution that's already there, and a combination of both. Yeah, in all these types of approaches, proposed integration of the components is also considered within the design option. Ultimately, like whatever we're trying to get has to be the solution has to be leading to the actual like problem being resolved and our vision and our future state and all that good stuff. And we also have to identify improvement opportunities when proposing design options. A number of opportunities to improve the operation of the business may occur and are compared. Some common example of opportunities include increased efficiencies, or how we can be more efficient, how to get access to more information, how to identify additional capabilities. Seems kind of like, I don't know if because we've been through all these chapters, now they kind of like seem more intuitive. And I feel the repetition works because here, improve access to information, provide greater amounts of information to staff who interface directly with and indirectly with customers, thereby reducing the need for specialists. All right. Some common examples of opportunities to include, right? So ultimately, you created that chain and you created the architecture about the design with different small models in between, depending on different like sectors and segments of whatever it is you're working on. Now, at this point, when we're trying to decide on a solution, what we've mapped processes over processes and created a full-blown strategic architecture that leads from the ground of what's going on right now to what we could add or remove in order to get somewhere else. And every step in between is basically just has basically been made. So right now, all you have to do is kind of go like, think of it this way. Even when you finish slaughtering an entire fucking pig and you have all the meat, you can still use the bones in order to feed the dogs, but in order to boil them, make stock, and after that, you kind of like can feed them to the dogs. So there's always that added value that you could actually do, whether it's increase efficiencies, improve access to information, identify initiative capabilities, because this solution might help in an area or not, right? Like these are the cute stuff. And thirdly, allocation. Requirements allocation is the process of assigning requirements to solution components and releases the best to best achieve the objectives. Amazing. So, like I was saying earlier, like in bits and pieces to different things. We're still talking using the meat metaphor. I'm sorry if any of you is vegetarian or vegan, but like there are some pieces of the cow that actually make good meat, good steaks, while other pieces of the cow that make more, I don't know, soupy or like, what's it called? Stewy, that are better for stew, right? And so allocating the actual like requirements allocation is basically assessing the trade-offs between alternatives in order to maximize benefits and minimize costs. The value of a solution might vary depending on how requirements are implemented. Everyone that's involved, stakeholders that are involved, they may be allocated between organization units, job functions, solution components, or releases of a solution. Requirements allocation typically begins with a solution approach that has been determined and continues blah 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 until valid requirements are allocated. Motherfucker, it's like, oh, it's the same thing, right? You start somewhere and you get somewhere else, but you watch everything that's going on in between, and you kind of theorize that this is where we want to go. Are we going in that direction? Yes, no, maybe. I have no idea, but amazing. And number four, describe design options. Design options are investigated and developed while considering the desired future state. And in order to ensure the design option is valid, solution performance measures are defined to each design option. Okay, amazing. Because you're kind of like testing it out, prototyping it. Design option usually consists of many design components, such described by a design element. Design elements may describe business policies and business rules. Here, we're kind of being anal about the design options, about the design itself, because what we're doing is we're kind of like throwing in what are the potentials, operational business decisions to be made, people who operate and maintain the solutions. It's business analysis is kind of like a big ass brainstorming project, isn't it? Because because we're always kind of like writing all the things that we could do and eliminating the things that we can't. It's funny. It's the difference between I know my shit versus I have no clue. But both of us kind of want to be productive within our limited knowledge. So the person who knows their shit kind of builds on top of what they know and figures it out. And the people that doesn't know kind of like looks at what they don't know and figures out what kind of contributes to what they want to know and doesn't. So I think business analysis is kind of like a nerd's tool to not be ignorant. Fuck yeah. Software applications and application components used in a solution. Look at this, like describe design options. Like what are the options? Unlimited. Unlimited. Some examples are, right? What are the guidelines and tools? Existing solutions, feature state description. I talked about this earlier. Recommended requirements traced. Define the design options that best fulfill the requirements, and the solution scope, which is basically defining the boundaries of the node. What are techniques? Benchmarking and market analysis, brainstorming, document analysis, interviews, lessons learned, mind mapping, root cause analysis, survey or questionnaire, vendor assessment, and workshops. Who are the stakeholders? Domain subject matters, suppliers, project managers, operational support and implementation, subject matter experts. We're more specific when it comes to this one, but I'm assuming it's because operations, management, supply, implementation, this is a logistical approach, right? And it's probably because we're defining the design options. So we're kind of like provides the expertise within the business, provide input and feedback when evaluating solution alternatives. That's the domain subject matter. Implementation subject matter experts, again, you're kind of using the people who have done this before or are more in the field. An operational support, project manager, and supplier. These are because like you're actively making putting the design to work. So you kind of need people to be like, yay. And the previous stakeholders and like define requirements, architecture, and validate is like anyone could be a stakeholder. But with this one, it's more operational, right? It's more structural, logistical. So that's kind of fun. And what are the outputs? Are the design options where you describe various ways to satisfy one or more needs in a context. They may include solution approach, potential improvement opportunities provided by the option, and the components that define the option. Look at that. That's basically defining the design options. And I love you guys. This is 7.6, 7.5. Yeah.